Today, we're continuing our focus on Nigeria's 54th independence anniversary. We're joined now by Chike Ogia, who is the Commissioner for Information in Delta State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. My pleasure.
How did the event pan out in your state?
Well, I think it went very well. You needed to see my governor in the Shekiri attire, on top of the Land Rover, being his last, there was fanfare. But of course, like with everything else, a bit low key. But I think the important thing that he did was the pardon. He used the opportunity to grant, some condemned prisoners, I think about 3 of them, who had already been condemned to death. And based on the advice of the Advisory Council, prerogative of mercy, he granted them pardon. And then there were, I think, another 8 or 9 who had also been sentenced but hadn't been, condemned yet. And he also granted them that kind of clemency. Of course, I was not surprised because that's in tandem with what he believes in as a medical doctor, as a human being, that you don't take what you cannot give, we can't give life. And we've been killing criminals, we've been killing armed robbers since time immemorial in Nigeria, and how much has that stemmed the whole thing? But all in all, 54 years in Delta State, we have come a long way, 27 years, and of course very steady progress has been made by this administration particularly. And as we are breasting the tape, our clarion call has always been that we're going to finish strong, and we'll be able to hand on the mantle to the next administration to continue from where we stopped.
Because whatever policies they put in place at the center, it should be reflected or felt in states.
Certainly.
These celebrations are felt in states, and so does it get feedback in terms of how the people have fared, or how the people say he has fared ever since he's been there?
Oh, yes, definitely. We have all kinds of mechanisms for that. And of course, in a multi-ethnic state like Delta, we never deceive ourselves. We're always, on the ground. And especially when what I call succession politics starts to play out, you will hear everything. We get the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the wonderful thing is that people can see the difference. People can touch and feel the kind of, difference he has made. And this is not just about Deltans and Nigerians. We thank God this has also even been globally acknowledged. But that is a matter for another time or something. The truth is he's done a lot of pro-poor initiatives, which I think, which they call stomach infrastructure now and all that. Aside from the big things he's done, the kind of retooling we've done with our schools, the free health and all that we've also done, underage children, free maternal care. These are things that, touch, like I said, the everyday person. The microcredit system, that is a wonderful thing he's done, because we've taken very vulnerable people in society who would have actually had no chance one way or the other, either through disability, or these are boys that will have found their way into militancy and all that. And they've given them little credits, and they have come up with wonderful things in agriculture, in footwear technology, you name it, different facets of skills that we have been able to rev up in Delta State. And I think these are all the ways that we are preparing the state beyond oil, which is basically what we are talking about.
There's so many comments about leadership across the country, different states, the federal government, and then you have people who will always tell you, look, different governments will always praise themselves no matter what. Mm-hmm. And people always suggest, why don't you get independent assessors and let's really know what is going on, because the people there, no matter which way the pendulum swings, will always have a thing or two to say.
Yes.
But at that time, the government did go to get some UN assessors. I think it was over 6-7 months.
Yes.
And here, when we looked at it, we felt, okay, this sounds interesting. We're getting UN assessors to come and find out how you have performed based on certain yardsticks and structure and criteria.
Yes.
It looks as though that has rounded off now.
Yes.
What happened?
Actually, on the 22nd of September, the governor and a team of us, especially commissioners that were in charge of the thematic areas that were looked into, because just like you said, we opened up ourselves to scrutiny to the United Nations. I mean, that's a global body and basically on the MDGs, but we chose 4 major areas: agriculture, education, health, water, and sanitation. And like you rightly said, we had UN experts come into Delta State and look. Of course, when you do things like that, you have to open your books, you have to open your processes. And they went all over the state, making sure, looking and seeing for themselves the kind of things we've done. So like I said, on the 22nd in New York, where we were last week, the governor was also there. Like a preliminary kind of report, a draft report was given by the experts. They haven't given us the document itself, but like I said, and it was at a special session just before the General Assembly, full of international audience and all that. And they particularly commended us. They commended us for the kind of thing we've done in water, especially, the kind of provision, meeting the Millennium Development Goals on water. They talked again about these pro-poor policies they saw he has done. They mentioned that of microcredit, what he's been able to do with empowering people, getting people off those breadlines and getting them from being job seekers and all that kind of thing to actually becoming employers of labor. A lot of the products that these people are making are finding their way to international markets and all that. They talked particularly about his strides in education. They talked about the EDU Marshal project, especially. They found that very fascinating. That is a program we have where we say, look, we have provided this first-class infrastructure in our schools. We have given you teachers that have been trained and retrained and all that first-class schools. Why should students not go to the schools? Why should our students of school-going age be in the farms or be in the motor parks or be hawking? So what we do, we have these special marshals that go around the city, all our major cities, and whichever children they find doing all that, they forcefully take them and take them to school. And as I speak with you, I'm aware there's a bill before the House of Assembly where, they are going to even criminalize it, and their parents will be held liable and be taken to court. And
if they don't send their
wards to school, yes. So they spoke about that. They also highlighted the issue of that we had 15% of our budget targeted on our health programs, because of course that is where we do our infant mortality, our infant under 5 infant free health program, infant maternity free health program, over age, what we call the seniors over 65, they also have these are people that before would never have even had access to a hospital. So, now they have first class hospitals and it's absolutely free.
At the end of the day,
yes,
will this report be published for everybody to take a look at it and find out what did Delta State actually do based on UN assessment?
Yes, certainly. In fact, what the governor said in his measured response, he was elated, but calm as always. He thanked them for what they had done and said that what he thinks he would even do, because of course, this regime, we're on our way out, but these are things we want to hand over to posterity. So he says he will get this report institutionalized when it is brought out, so it can form a working document for the state, for succeeding administrations. Maybe he will take a bill to the House, and then, the document will be there. So it is going to be something that Delta would base its future programs upon, because, like we said, these are global benchmarks. It's a matter of, like he always said, it wasn't about pass or fail and all that. It was just about identifying our bottlenecks, our gaps, things we have done, things we had failed to do. It was more of knowing where we were so that we can do better. And of course, in that kind of thing, that with that trajectory, you can help the incoming administration. And the next thing he also said was that, of course, at that time, he would present it to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because don't forget that when we started this thing, there was a lot of skepticism. I know even a lot of his colleagues felt he was taking too much of a risk, because it's like throwing a stone in the deep end of the water. You don't know what the ripples will be. What if we had done this on the way out and the result had been calamitous? You can imagine. But he decided to take that risk because he wanted to know what exactly we were doing, how we were doing it, and where we were.